Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 2004 here in TEW 2020 as it's time for the Go Home Show for WCW Great American Bash as we're into a big pay-per-view for World Championship Wrestling live from the Richmond Coliseum where we got 15,000 people show in a sold-out arena. So let's get going with our pre-show match. As in a decent pre-show match, Blitzkrieg, Jack Evans, and Tony Kuzina defeated Sean Stasiak, Simply Johnny Divine, and Kaz in 14:59 when Jack Evans pinned Simply Johnny Divine with a stunt 101. Let's get to 66. Fun little pre-show match to get some guys, some in-ring time. Tony Kuzina gets a 47. Jack Evans gets a 78. Jesus, I should really push them farther. Bleacher gets a 48. Kaz gets a 72. Again, guys like Evans and Kaz are part of the reason for the split I'm doing because there's no point for them to be not on TV, weekly. Johnny Vine gets a 47 and Sean Stasiak gets a 57. So fun little, opening, pre-show 6-man tag, and then go on to our opening. We're actually cut, basically we get some, VTR that says, earlier today, and we see basically Vampiro talking to the camera saying, "I know there are some who still don't believe my path. I understand. I'm still the same man I was when I was the world champion. I have not changed in the end, but deep down, I know I am on the righteous path now to destroying what I helped create. I will defeat Messias at Great American Bash, and more permanently, I'll take back control of Messias and send him on a glorious path of destruction against those who stand against me once again. But tonight, before that happens, I will go for final confrontation into the Graveyard Souls and make sure Morningstar understands the message is not what matters." Then we see he walks into the arena, and this gets an 85, set up sort of like our sort of kind of wacky, short long storyline. Then we go straight to the ring for action. As about that had decent wrestling and didn't have much heat, Angel Fox and the European Disunion, which is of course Nikita Colt and Messina Busick, defeat Gail Kim, Slim Cartier, and Jordan Cole in 7:51 when Angel Fox pinned Gail Kim with the Angel Snap. So again, fun little back and forth 6-man tag. Busick and Colt gets to do some submission holds. Carter does some brawling. Cole does some US Pro. Fox, but in the end, things break down. Fox and Kim are in the ring with each other. Fox avoids one of Kim's big moves, rolls through, hits the Angel Snap, and holds the tights as she gets the 1, 2, 3 victory over the WCW World Champion 6 days before they face off at Great American Bash. As this gets a 62, Jordan Cole gets a 51, Celine Cartier gets a 58, Gilkin gets a 57, Lucina Busick gets a 46, Nikita Colt gets a 62, and Angel Fox gets a 54. Fun stuff, just a fun little setup match, and also gets the other women some in-ring time, as, they're not going to have a match this pay-per-view, but they're still facing off. And then, Angel Fox makes terrible motions at Gail Kim, as this gets a 54. And then we backstage, where Ric Flair and Kanyon are backstage, and basically, Kanyon says, "I'm a former world champion. Nobody's better than Kanyon, and sooner than later, I'll be back at the top of the card proving that once we're done taking care of the trash. Trash known as Jeff Jarrett and Merchant Direct. But that's not my job tonight. Because even though no better than Kanyon, Ric Flair's still the man." Woo! Nature Boy is here. And Jeff Jarrett, all your life, deep down, you've wanted to be me. You want to be the jet flying, kiss stealing, limo riding son of a gun. That's why you had the blonde hair. That's why you act like you're the greatest wrestler in the world. Even when you're trying to be a country music star, you were still trying to be me. But deep down, it couldn't be true because I was wrestling all over the world, and you were nothing out of your small little city. And now you tried to be the chosen one, but in wrestling, nobody's truly chosen. You have to prove it in the ring. That's why tonight, I'm going to take you to school, Jarrett, and make sure I finally get rid of the mistake that I caused by letting in the horseman in the first place. Woo! 84. Short little segment, not a full 6-minute promo, 4-minute segment promo to set up the big main event tonight as, pushing that. As it gets an 84. And then we have a, basically, a preview tag for 2 big title matches as Eagle Skipper and Keenan Sharp team up with take on Yashiro Tajiri and Air Paris. As in a decent match, Eagle Skipper and Keenan Sharp defeated Tajiri and Air Paris in 7:10 when Tajiri instantly got disqualified while fighting Keenan Sharp. So basically, back and forth phenomenal match. Skipper and Paris do some high spots, but, basically Tajiri gets in the ring and he just goes right after Sharp. He just beats the crap out of him, and, ref tries to stop him, but, Tajiri just sort of pushes the referee away and just spits Miss right in Sharp's eye, right in front of the ref. Of course, like the ref has to call for the bell, and ding ding, the heels get the win, but Tajiri looks like the badass here. As this gets a 65, Sharp gets a 60, Skipper gets a 42, Airpress gets a 71, Tajiri gets 69, and yeah, Skipper and Sharp, I previously had no chemistry as partners, but have to set things up sometimes. So fun little short tag match. I mean, that's honestly also why it was 7 minutes and why I did this finish, because I knew Skipper and Sharp had no chemistry, but you have to do what you have to do sometimes. So then we move forward. As basically, Chip Tajiri goes for a beatdown. Basically, like, Sharp rolls out of the ring, trying to get the mist out of his eyes, and just like steps back, does a little comedy pratfall, but eventually gets out of the ring as Tajiri stares him down. As a ref put over, Tajiri is looking for revenge and to take the US title off of Keenan Sharp at Great American Bash. Then we go backstage. Well, not backstage, but somewhere as Vampiro enters the Graveyard Souls. But there's nobody there. There's just the mist, all the spooky lighting we can do, and there's a voice, distorted voice. Who knows whoever really did it, but it's the message, and the message says, "Lost soul. You think you're fighting for vengeance and righteousness now, but you're fighting for what you always fought for: your own twisted needs. If you want to have a final confrontation with the bringer of my message, so be it. But you have to fight some. You have to destroy the seekers of sin beforehand." And here's just basically says, "Come." He's very says, "Come fight me, come get me." And do we forget the black again? 83 again. This is a fun little segment. Little goofy, little attitude airy, little but sometimes you have to do goofy stuff because it's pro wrestling. Damn it. As is 83. Then we have our fun little tag match as a decent match. America's Most Wanted defeat Jason Jett and Paul London in 908 when Chris Harris pinned Jason Jett with the catatonic. So let's get to 68. James Storm gets a 72. Chris Harris gets a 68. Paul London gets a 77. And Jason Jett gets 68. So this is a back and forth tag match. AEW, you'll look good as, the former tag team champions. So are Jason Jett, Paul London. London is high flying. Jett goes for some striking. But in the end, AEW just win clean. Like, no bullshit. No cheating, no interference, nothing. Just Jett, Blendon goes for a big dive, basically eats shit, gets tossed out. Jett comes in to headbutt. He is on 2-on-1, and AEW just pick up the win. And just solid win. And AEW look like the stronger team going out of this. As like I said, this gets a 68. And post match, AEW celebrate to the boos. Well, actually, mostly boos, but some cheers from the crowd as this gets a 71. Then we basically have a book little segment as Shane Helms comes down by himself and says, "Tonight, your superstar, your future world champion, the greatest United States champion of all time, is a special extreme challenge. You see, I have a former extreme legend backstage as a preview to what I'm going to do at Rob Van Dam at Great American Bash." And then some unfamiliar music comes up, and out comes Chris Chetty. Announcers are confused. Scott Hudson comes and says, "Well, Chris Chetty, he had, he had a run in Extreme Championship Wrestling, but like he would never what you call an extreme legend. Not to put anything down on the guy. And obviously, Shane Helms is taking advantage of this, young, this wrestler who had a run there, but didn't have much success afterwards. Helms like for Vitality says, "Look, tonight I'm going to show what I'm going to do Rob Van Dam. I'm going to give this extreme legend a chance to get his feet on the ground." And Chris Chetty brings in Tom put out his hand for a handshake. Chetty looks confused, but looks like he's going to go for it, and then Helms just drills him with the microphone, and then the bell rings and the match is on. As it gets to 70, as this is a short little segment to set things up, and then we go to the match, and basically like Chetty, after he gets knocked down, like actually hits a quick belly and then another like quick backdrop, but then he gets he rushes at Helms. Helms gets out of the way. Chetty eats the turnbuckle, turns around, super kick, 1, 2, 3. Just a complete squash. As this gets a 59, Helms gets a 78, Chris Chetty gets a 30. And then after the match, Chetty is down, Helms pulls him up, and everybody knows what time it is. And it looks like he's going to go for the vertebreaker. Rob Van Dam comes down, rushes in, and of course Helms drops him. Helms rushes away, and there's a stare down as youngsters put over that these two men fought to a draw at Slamboree, but at Great American Bash is going to be one fall to a finish. One man will stand as the better wrestler and possibly a future world title challenger. As it gets an 80, good stuff. Again, not the longest segment, so it doesn't get quite the 100, but again, like, or 90s, from a 6 minute segment, but like, it goes as long as it needs to go. And, that was a fun little segment just to build things up because obviously, like, just show home Shane Helms beating somebody, and I didn't want to do another, like, random tag match, so there you go. And then we have our big first hour main event as Jeremy Borash is at a table. First, he invites down Bill Goldberg. Doom, 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 doom. Goldberg comes down. Then Booker comes down with his world title and Sharmell. And, basically, they each get to talk. Bill Goldberg says, Booker, I thought you used to be like me, somebody who wanted to fight for the fans of World Championship Wrestling. I wanted to show these fans that why WCW is the greatest wrestling company in the world. But I see now you're just a self-conceited jackass who has been whispered little lies in your ears by that little lady Beth over there and been shown, and now you think you're special just because you're the world champion. Well, at Garden Bash, Booker, you're next. And Booker fires back, Sucker, you don't understand what I fought through. I was tag team champions so many times I've lost count. Then I was world champion. But every time, people are always you're just holding that belt for Goldberg. You're just holding that belt for the real world champions. Nobody ever gave me a shot. And after things got rebooted here, I was left behind. Because there were people like you, they wanted to push. And there were all these new kids. People forgot about Booker. People forgot a man who could have been the greatest world champion. Who's now a six-time Goldberg sort of comes up. Look, I already said you're a great wrestler. You're one of the best in the world. But Booker, at American Bash, you're fighting me, Goldberg. The man who had the streak. The man who ran over everybody he faced. You think I'm going to take light on you just because you're self-deluded now? You got another thing coming. Goldberg at second. I don't want you to pull back because I want to prove right in the middle of the ring that I was always supposed to be the man. And nothing but an overrated jump. Cue the brawl. Sharpnell gets out of the way. And in the end, though, Goldberg's able to pick up Booker and, hit a spear out, send him through the table as the crowd cheers. This gets a 95 as this really, get things set up for the huge main event at Bash Goldberg vs. Booker for the WCW Championship. And then we move forward. Backstage, where Vampiro is now in another part of the Graveyard of Souls in front of, frankly, a door we've put in there. And there are two men standing in front of him, dressed in face paint, wearing black cloaks. And there are two people from the RTF territory, and Vampiro basically just wipes them out in a couple minutes, and then is given passage to open the door. 75 as, again, he destroys the two Seekers of Sin as then the message then says, you fought well, but we always knew that. But the question is, are you fighting for the right reasons? As Vampiro enters the door, we cut to commercial, and there you go, 75. Fun stuff. And then we go backstage for a quick Team Monty promo as Monty just is looking like Monty Brown in the background, all hyped up and scary. Secret Ice list, Rudy Booties. This man is going to take out Dustin Rhodes at American Bash and prove that he's the future of World Championship Wrestling, and he's the future of this business. Just a quick set of promos of Dustin Rhodes versus Monty Brown again, as, haven't done a lot with that since the past couple weeks, but, not much to really do. As this gets a 57 as we move forward to our semi-main event, as in a three-way preview of the tag title match at Grand American Bash, and you all had good wrestling, decent reaction from the crowd. Jamie Noble defeated Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Cash in 11:25 when Jamie Noble pinned Chavo Guerrero while using the ropes for leverage. So again, not like a high spots match, but just pure impact match. Chavo is in his strikes, his suplexes. Cash, of course, is now a regular wrestler, not a high flyer, so he's using suplexes, slams, lots of strikes. Noble is trying to take people down, but that's sort of a disadvantage. That's really like this. Eventually, things break down, But what happens is, looks like Chavo finally has advantage. He hits the big brainbuster on Cash, but then Noble wipes him out from behind with a sort of a chop block to knock him down. Noble tosses Cash to the outside. Chavo comes after him, but Noble's ready for him, takes him down again, rolls him up, holds the tights. 1, 2, 3, gets the quick rolling first cradle victory as the youngsters put over the fact that, if that happens at Grand American Bash, Reno and Cash could lose the belts without getting pinned. As it gets an 82, really good match, especially considering, these guys are not like top guys, but they're really good wrestlers. As Noble gets an 80, Chavo gets a 68, and Cash gets a 74. Fun stuff. And post match, like I said, Cash comes in to go after Chavo. Alex Wright comes out to make the save. All while Noble is outside celebrating with Ebony Sable as youngsters, put over. This is a huge three-way tag match at American Bash to set up who, and can Cash Marino escape with the titles once again, as this gets a 65. So fun stuff. There you go. Then we have not really a final setup, but a stuff we've been sort of pushing for the last couple weeks, as AJ Styles is backstage and just doing backstage wrestler stuff, and then Rey Mysterio Jr. comes up and says, "I've been thinking, AJ." And he's like, "Shoot, um, I've been thinking, you know, I need to prove myself, and what better way to prove myself than to face somebody coming up who's the future of this business to take me on in the ring?" And AJ's so confused, like, "What are you talking about, man?" And Rey Mysterio's like, "I want you at Great Bash. You've been successful. You won a World Cruiserweight Champion, beat Lance Storm a couple weeks ago, multi-time Tag Team Champion, but you've never faced me in the ring. One of the best Cruiserweight Champions of all time." AJ's like, "It would be an honor. But just know I'm not going to take it late on you just because you've been feeling bad the past couple weeks." Ray's like, "I wouldn't dream of it." And they shake hands, and the match is on. And again, not the best setup, but sort of you had to know something like this was happening. So we've got AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio Jr. as Ray tries to get over his funk, and AJ tries to prove himself as the future of this business once again. As this gets to 79, which is actually pretty good considering. And then we have a final confrontation where Vampiro's, again, in a different quote-unquote room, as Morningstar is there, but no Macias, just Morningstar. And Vampiro's like, "You realize I could destroy you right now." And Morningstar's like, "Of course I know that, but I know you don't want that. You don't want this to happen in some back room where nobody will approve it, where you won't be able to get satisfaction of doing it in front of the people who claim to like you now. Because deep down, the message is true. You know what we want to do to professional wrestling. When I say professional wrestling, not just World Championship Wrestling, is what needs to happen for the good." It's like, "I've heard the message. I was confused by the message, but now I know what's truly correct. Yes, yes, I know. You've been deluded just because you were a failure. Everybody's fair. I was the world champion only because we wished to be so." Marshall fights back. You see, at American Bash, the Monster Messias will prove whenever we wanted, we could have taken that championship off of you. Everybody says, "You have to remember, I was a world champion. I was successful before I met you." When I was like, "Do you think I was the first speaker of the message? You think all of your success is on your hands? The message is everywhere, Vampiro. Wherever you go, the message will be there, chasing after you. So, fight your best, Messias. You will fail." And then lights go, there's no mist, and then Morningstar is just gone. Again, goofy backstage him, but sometimes you have to do goofy backstage him to set up a match like Vampiro versus Messias. So this is the 94, and really gets the setup, the big, because this is probably what, third biggest match? I mean, there's a world title match. Not actually probably our second biggest match. I mean, yeah, something like that. And then it's main event time. Oof. Why was this not so great? Let's see here. Low morale. Okay. Kind of physical ability. Oh, wait. Jared and Flair aren't in a storyline together? I could have. Wait, that seems wrong. Did I not put Flair as part of that? Well, okay. Not the end of the world. Anyway, again, solid match, as these guys are both still really good. Just a slow building, old school style of match as Jarrett goes after Flair, with punches, kicks, low blows, working on the knees, but Flair fires back with chops, big back suplex, chops, chop block, going after the knee himself, and just two guys both going for the submission eventually. And Jarrett gets on the figure four first, but Flair reverses it because it's Ric Flair, and Jarrett gets back to the ropes. Flair gets to move off the top because it's babyface Ric Flair. Then he basically rolls through and tries to lock on the figure four again, but Jarrett is too close to the ropes. Eventually, there's a rough bump. Jarrett brings in the guitar, and he just Flair's trying to help the referee up. He turns around, boom, explodes. Flair goes down. Jarrett gets the 1, 2, 3 for the big win over Ric Flair in the main event Nitro. Again, this gets to 79, so unfortunate. I really thought Flair was part of this storyline. I'll have to double check that after the show. But regardless, Jeff Jarrett gets the big win in the main event, and of course, Mark Jindrak comes down for the beatdown. But that means Kanyon then comes down to make the save, and Flair eventually recovers, and it's a big old brawl. And the WCW shows come down eventually. Then Eric Bischoff comes out and says, "Look, I don't want to get involved in wrestlers' business, but you guys are always so getting involved in each other. Why can't you just break up like a good couple and get over each other?" That's why I want you to get over each other. That's why at the Bash in 6 days, it's going to be a tag team tornado match. Jeff Jarrett and Mark Jindrak versus Ric Flair and Kanyon. And maybe after that, you two will be done with each other. So there you go. Our final match for the pay-per-view is Jeff Jarrett and Mark Jindrak taking on Ric Flair and Kanyon. And that final time gets 92, not bad. As show itself, this is probably not going to be our greatest show. Okay, 86, still good. I mean, that Goldberg's Booker's thing saved us along with Vampiro. What's the show? Again, I mean, I didn't have, a lot. O'Hare didn't have a thing. Palumbo was selling his injuries. Jeff Hardy's, taking a monthly cycle off. I'm not really part of things. So, yeah, I mean, lots of, Chris Chetty was part of this show and still got an 86, so there you go. So yeah, I mean, again, we've got, we're setting things up for the big end of the, year show. So again, not the worst thing ever. But still a solid Nitro done things. I'm sure Raw got a random 94 because they had a random 99 Shawn Michaels match or something like that. So first, let's check out our mail. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, and I want to show you guys something first real quick because I forgot to do it on the last show. So, SmackDown had William Regal defeating Matt Hardy and Perry Saturn, Kevin Nash and TA defeating Hawley and DDP and Orton in 74, Chris Jericho defeating Nick Dinsmore, Clark Angle winning a squash, Billy Gunn defeating Steven Richards at 77, Scott Hall defeating Bradshaw in 81, and of course, in around 99, Triple H and Chris Benoit defeating The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in a cage match, because of course they did. And then Raw, we had, let's see here, Molly Holly defeating Cherry Slice in a 73, Edge interview getting 93, Chris Benoit winning squash getting 87, Harga Holly and Dean Orton defeated Bradshaw and TNA in 82, Undertaker winning squash, Triple H defeating Al Snow in a 90, William Regal defeating Kevin Nash in a 96, and the main event, Brock Lesnar defeating Scott Hall. So, fun times. And yeah, just for no, Big Show's still the world champion, but they haven't really been, he hasn't been on TV in a couple of weeks, which is kind of interesting. I mean, he won the world title and then he wasn't on the next pay-per-view, which is really weird. AI booking, gotta love it. But yeah, if we look at our storylines, I'm gonna check out Horseman. Okay. Wait. Okay. That's the thing. Okay. So they were. Okay. I'm an idiot. Well, okay, not the end of the world or anything. Anyway, Beautiful Violence at a 62. Black Excellence is at a 43. Booker Goldberg's at a 89. Tag title is at a 77. O'Hare Morningstar Palumbo is at an 80. European Invasion Women's Feud is at a 64. Horseman Feud's at an 84. I'm just going to end this because this doesn't matter. AJ Ray's at a 74. Ryan M. Helms is at an 84. Vampiro Macias is at an 82. And Sharp Tajiri's at a 70. So fun times. Let's see, what else did I want to show you guys? Oh, yeah. So first, we had Saturday night. So a thing I forgot to do is resign Miss Jones. So remember how I had that fun little feud with Miss Jones and Ars Miller that I'll just have to be randomly dropped. So we started with Miss Jones being gone, Simply John and Divine winning a squash, Heart Legacy winning a squash over Sean Stasiak and Disco Inferno, John Toro defeating Ken Anderson from our Dev Fed, and Eric Perez defeating Kaz in our main event. And then the other Saturday night for this upcoming week is Miss Jones is Still Gone, as Eric Bischoff and Aaron Filler talk about it. European Disunion wins a squash, Tony Vizina wins a squash over Gavin Courageous, and Sable wins a 1-on-3 squash, which gets a 5. Jesus. And Mark Jindrak retains the TV title, defeating Rey Mysterio Jr. in the 62. So yeah, there you go. Nothing too fancy from there. And then if we look at our Dev Feds. So first, American Wrestling Queens, which by the way, I used a QAW logo from Cornellverse as their thing. But for the last weekly show, we had Ariel defeating Mischief in a 39. Annie Social, Mini Hosaka, and Missy all having segments. Lacey defeating Cindy Rogers in a 48. Allison Danger, Cheerleader Melissa, and Madison Clare defeating Roni Jonah, Madison, and Natty Neidhart in a 49. Beth Phoenix and Tracy Brooks defeating Miss Molly and Bonnie Maxon in 46. Again, it's really weird Beth Phoenix is like not doing that great. And in the main event, Kim Nielsen defeating Vanessa Harding to retain the title in a 50. So again, sort of the downside of bringing some people up is the shows get worse, but that's the point of developmental. And then for NWA Wildside, for their weekly house show, we had Travis Compto defeating Claudio on the undercard. So yes, Claudio still doing jobs. Tony Jones defeating Ryan Drago. Trans Prophet defeating Rick Michaels. Darkside Hero defeated Lazarus and Tank Tolan in a cage match, retained the NWA World Junior Heavyweight title. But Rothschild defeating Marcus Miltek, who's a regen, in a 54. Jimmy Raven and Cassie O'Reilly defeating Chris Rambola and Kay Graves. Again, Kay Graves is a regen. And Killswitch defeating Shannon Ballard in 61. And the main event, Adam Jacobs defeating Keith Walker and Prince Nana to retain the NWA Georgia Junior Heavyweight title. So fun times. And then in our TV we had Travis Tomko defeating Adam Ortiz in a 38. We had Killswitch defeating Ryan Drago in a 47. Ray LePan, who's remember the future Adam Rose, and Rothschild defeated Lazarus and Keith Walker. And Prasanna and Cassie O'Reilly defeated Ken Anderson and Chris Rambola in a 59 to retain the Wildside tag titles. So again, fun stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. So, not quite as long as our previous videos. There's one other thing I wanted to show you guys. Let's see here. So there's 2 big shows this week. So first, AAA had their Triple Mania, which had, let's see here, 36,000 people in the North. So we had Warrior and the Urban Gladiators, which is, I believe, Jim Neidhart and Hysteria defeated Emilio Charles Jr., Felino, and Mascara Sagrada in a 74. So yes. Omega Squad defeated Brute Squad, so that's Mascara Sagrada Jr. and Psychosis 2 defeating Oz and Corvo in a 77 in an absolutely insanely great match. Juventud Guerrera, Halloween, and Psychosis defeating Charlie Manson, Eleanor Chial, and Dr. Cerebro in an 89 by DQ. Yeah, and Juvi's getting 96. Juvi's like the biggest star in Mexico right now. Paikudo defeated Scorpio Jr. in a first blood match in a 79, retaining the Mexican national middleweight title. Cybernetico defeated Blue Demon IDQ in a 96. So yeah, that probably went 100 without the screwy finish. La Parca 2 defeated Super Calo in a ladder match for the Campeon de Campeons title. And in the main event, Hector Garda defeated El Canek to retain the Mexican national heavyweight title in the 82. So if they would have put those two 96 and 89, they'd probably have a 90 show. And the other big thing is New Japan had their Best of Super Juniors. So let me find those guys. So yeah, in front of 5,500 at Budokan. Wait, that's not the right attendance. I'll have to double check that. That's interesting. Anyway, so we had a whole bunch of pre-show matches, including one other thing that you might be interested to know is Nigel just had a really big injury, so he'll be out for 7 months for them, unfortunately. But anyway, so we had some undercard matches. But then for the actual quote-unquote Super Juniors tournament, because remember, Yeah, I can't do round robin, so they have to do tournaments. So just pretend these are like the final matches. So Magna Tokyo defeated Letty Lane in 64. Chris Hero defeated Brandon Anawan in 78. Jushin Liger defeated Kagetora in 81. Ken Kishin defeated Super Demikin in 77. Then we had our bruiser match as Katsuyori Sakuraba defeated Ensign Inoue in what was probably a fun little MMA style match in 77. Chris Hero defeating Magna Tokyo in 69. And then we had Jushin Liger defeated Ken Kishin in 89. And then we had more fun singles matches as Yuji Nagata defeated Manumi Nakanishi. Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Ken Shamrock in 84. Sasaki defeated Osumu Nashimura in 89. Yuki Chushu defeated Jinsei Sasaki in a 60, because of course he did. Again, it's insane. Like, yeah. And then in the main event, Jushin Liger won the Best of the Super Juniors title in 95 to defeating Chris Hero. So yeah, there's something for tape creators in like 20 years. Chris Hero main event Super Juniors getting a 95 against Liger. But yeah, fun times. Nothing else really of note. OVW is doing their OVW stuff. HWA is doing their HWA stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's basically it. So again, to go over the final lineup for Great American Bash, we have Goldberg versus Booker for the World Championship. We've got Elo Skipper versus Air Parrish for the Cruiserweight title. The three-way tag match, Silver City Rollers versus Red and Chavo versus Jamie Noble and Abby Sable for the tag titles. We've got, for the US title, Ushiri Tajiri versus Keenan Sharp. We've got Gail Kim versus Angel Fox for the women's title. Van Dam versus Jane Helms, where there must be a winner. Vampiro versus Macias, where Vampiro gets control of Macias if he wins, but if Macias wins, Vampiro is out of World Championship Wrestling. Monty Brown versus Dustin Rhodes. Sean O'Hare versus Morningstar. Jeff Jarrett, Mark Jindrak versus Ric Flair and Canyon in a tag team Tornado match. AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio Jr. So fun match. And we've got some pretty big stars that aren't on what's what I'm looking for here, that actually aren't that aren't on the pay-per-view, but that's again part of the reason for a split show, because like I've got some pretty big people who I just don't have storylines for right now. But, that's it for now. If you enjoyed the show, go ahead and give it a like, comment below how much you're liking and or not liking, and subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content like this. Well, that's it for now, so talk later, and adios. Have a good one.